What is going on, my friends? How are you? It is Friday. It's Good Friday. It is a Good Friday to be here with you live from the basement studio. Yes, I am. I'm here. I'm here for you. We went live for 2 hours yesterday. We're live for an hour today. And I'm happy to be asking. No, you're asking. Yes, this is Ask a Traffic Cop, where you get to ask questions from a former traffic cop. I know about stuff and things about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. My name is Sean Shapiro. I used to be a cop, and now I talk to you on the internet. I do a lot of other things, but this is something I really enjoy doing, and that's why I've kept doing it, even though they don't pay me to do it anymore. I founded a not-for-profit called the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education, and that is what is the organization that makes this all possible. And I am supported by magical people like the folks at Diamond and Diamond Lawyers. They are our Diamond sponsor. I got to give them a title. They're our Diamond sponsor. We have other sponsors too. They're all magical, and they all want to help you be safer on the road. But seeing that Diamond and Diamond is I was going to say is Canadians is Canada's number one largest personal injury lawyer. They're amazing. But we have other lawyers. We have Barrett Tax Law, Barrett Legal. They're Canada's leading tax law firm. So you should talk to the right people when you're talking to people. And we also, of course, have ClearGuard. They're a home fortification company. We've got the Accountant Institute, which is an online education platform. And for accountants, if you're not an accountant, you don't need to know about them. But if you're an accountant, you need them. And if you're not an accountant, you probably wonder if your accountant uses them, because if they don't, they should. Anyway, we're going to have some fun, chill out, and do what we do, talking about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And one of the things that we like to talk about is very specifically recruiting. I don't talk about it enough. I used to talk about it every single episode. And if there's people who want to know about becoming a police officer, we can talk about that. It's one of them things we can do. We can talk about TV and movies, like whatever you want to talk about. I'm here for you. That's the story. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. What do we got here? We got Sheldon, and actually there's a bunch of people who just jumped in. Let's see. We've got Jay, who came in. Let's send a wave, and Sammy G, and Stevie G. We got some G's here. We've got Vic and Sweet, and then Vincelu wanted to know if I moved to Florida. I frequent Florida because I have family there, but I have not lived. I don't live in Florida. DK McLean, hello. Aaron, what's going on? Sheldon, Donald, we got you. We got lots of folks who are jumping in. If you have questions, drop a question in the comments, and that's how we know that you want to talk about it. But I focus on Ontario because that's where I served, but we can talk about anything from anywhere. If it has wheels, if you want to know about it, I'm here for you. If you're watching on TikTok, please tap the screen so your fingers go numb. It really helps us bring more people to the party. The more people who are aware of the fact that we're live streaming means more questions, more people who want to know stuff and things. And if you don't have stuff and things, what's this? What's the one thing that drove you nuts as a traffic officer? There's so many things, but I think my biggest problem when I was on the road as a traffic officer was people who were just being entitled, just doing dumb stuff to move 5 seconds ahead and then caused a collision and ruined everybody, like everybody's day, caused traffic for everybody. People don't realize that it's the little things that they do to move up 5 feet, like skipping using the on-ramp as a jump 5 cars ahead. It really causes a lot of issues. But actually, you know what? I take that back. That's not the one that bugged me the most. What bugged me the most was the people who didn't secure their children in car seats properly. I stopped countless people for various offenses like cell phone use. And I'd look in the back and I'd say, you have a child seat. Yeah, let's inspect that, because I was a certified car seat installer. In fact, I was a master instructor. I could instruct instructors. Yeah. So what I would do is I would inspect those car seat installations, and I can't tell you how many of them where the kid wasn't buckled, or they were buckled in the seat, but the seat wasn't attached to the car. It was just sitting on the car seat. So they were going to make a baby bullet to shoot out the front, in a major collision. Those things just drove me bananas. Like it really upset me, and I made it a point to always inspect those car seats. So that was probably my biggest thing as a traffic cop. Let's see here. Sheldon Callahan wants to know if there's any speed cameras coming back to Ontario. At the moment, they're not permitted. I think it was a big mistake to remove them. I'd love to see them come back, but at the moment, I don't see that's. I don't see that as part of our future, just because they've just so recently removed them and wasted all sorts of money in that regard. Like all the contracts canceled, like hundreds and hundreds, if not millions of dollars. I'm speculating. I don't actually know, but if they canceled the contracts, I imagine people still had to get paid, and the hardware and infrastructure and just so much money lost. Never mind the jobs lost as a result of getting rid of that program. I think it was a huge mistake. But are they coming back? As much as I'd like to see it happen, I don't think so, because that would be just another enormous waste of money. Because then somebody would change their mind 10 seconds later, and then they'd remove them again. Some people shouldn't be in charge of money anyway. Crash joined. Rick Dickler joined, and Kenny Hansen. What's going on? Big Easy says people are so holier than thou when driving. A little bit of courtesy and common sense goes a long way, brother. That is the truest thing ever. I often say that all we need to do is learn how to treat other drivers like human beings and be a good neighbor. Like that's it's a common or communal space. The roads are a shared space. We should treat them as such. Where it's like being in a condo, and you had a lobby. Certain things you don't do in the lobby. Mind you, that's probably out the window too. Because years ago I lived in a condo and I saw the darndest things there. So yeah, if we could just be nicer to one another. And another thing that I think would be great is realize that poor planning does not make for an emergency for everyone else. Like if you don't know how to plan your time, and thus you want to make up for lost time because you got to go. What is this? Someone says, "I hate your glasses." Why do you hate my glasses? They're freaking awesome. Anyway, that's from Philly. Phil, who is this? Phil Lewis. He says he hates my glasses. I don't know why, but I love them. I bought 2 pairs of these because I like them so much. I have one as my backup pair. Yes. All right. So we've established that I wish people were better to each other. Okay, hang on one second. I want to make this window larger so I don't have to scroll so much. What is this? Chad says, I think the former cop is his whole personality. Chad has a lot of opinions. Okay, hang on. What do we got here? Mr. Young. Okay, we're just scrolling through. I think Chad's got some issues. But, I'm just guessing. We've got Kevin Cooper, who says speed cameras helped, but were slightly too harsh. Need a little more wiggle on speed, but safer. So there was a lot of wiggle. Now, here's the thing. I had heard that some people were getting ticketed for 1 or 2 kilometers over. That's ridiculous. If it happened, it should never have happened. Now, in jurisdictions like Toronto, you were getting like no more. You had to be doing at least 5 over, I believe, 5 to 8 over. And was it 10 over? Maybe more. I think it's a percentage of, but it's so far removed now from my common bucket of information that I have to go look at some notes. In the study that was done in Vaughan, because I spoke at City Council, their own study said if it wasn't 10 over, it wasn't considered speeding. Like they weren't flagging counts of anything under 10 over, which made me believe that all jurisdictions were 10 over before they issued a ticket. But then I was told that some people were getting tickets by 1 or 2 kilometers over. So again, just to recap, 1 or 2 kilometers over, ridiculous. No one should be ticketed for 1 or 2 kilometers over, whether it's a police officer or it's a automated speed camera. That is just silly because stuff happens. You're going to be a slight variable above or below. Not to say it's okay. It's just that's not the threshold we should be using. 5 kilometers over, yeah, you should know better. 10 kilometers over, abso-freaking-lutely. There's no reason to be doing 10 over. Simple. So I think they were great. I think they reduced the vast majority of speeders. I think 50 to 60% of speeders chose not to speed in the areas where they were posted. Some continued at a lower speed. Beyond that, I remember reading some studies where it said 50% stopped or slowed down in the areas, and 25% of those continued driving slower beyond those speed areas. But the truth is, as soon as those cameras went away, speeds across the city and across the province have increased. It's just what it is. If no one's watching, and the chances of getting pulled over by a police officer are so slim because A, there's too few of them, and B, they are um, just the statistics are they're busy. They're doing other things. So statistically, it's very low chance of being stopped for speeding. Just what it is. People take their chances and they go way too fast. So I'd love to see speed cameras come back. And Big Easy follows up by saying that he supports that we all need to just plan ahead and be adults. No hate, not so hate filled. I don't know if hate is the right word, but certainly it's stress. Being late is stressful, and I think people simply. Well, I think they don't know how to manage stress, and any change, any risk of looking bad at work, or even family. Like you're supposed to be home at a certain time, you're going to get grounded. I mean, I'm going back to when someone 16 is driving, not getting home on time, even though they made the poor decision of being late because they were having so much fun of where they were. Uh, Now the new stress is I screwed up. Now I got to try and go as quickly as I can. Or sometimes it's trying to look good, like trying to go fast in a fast car. I remember being in someone's car that it was probably 17, and he got up to 260 some odd kilometers on the 401. That was stupid. It was stupid. I wasn't the driver. It was stupid. I can say that now. I probably thought it was actually no, pretty. I think I was thinking it was stupid when it happened, but they were trying to show off, and that could have been a horrible, horrible event. Fortunately, we're all here to talk about it, and nothing happened. But these people who do crazy speeds, they should face the consequences. And had he been stopped then, maybe it would have changed his life. Maybe he wouldn't have been so reckless for so long. Now, fortunately, he didn't kill anybody, but he could have. All right, what do we got here? I haven't thought about that in forever. Old memories. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And if you want to ask questions, this is your opportunity. I'm here for 45-ish more minutes. I'm here till at least 11 o'clock. But we'll talk about anything you want to. Talk about safety on the road. We can talk about laws and understanding about equipment and other stuff. Talk about recruiting, which is something actually I want to talk about. There's lots to talk about. Whatever it is, even movies. I just watched Mrs. Doubtfire with the kids, and that was awesome. Has anyone seen that movie? I haven't seen it for a very, very long time, and that was something I watched when I was a whole lot younger. Well, and I watched it again today. Julian says, I got caught doing 150 and an 80. So what happened, Julian, when you got caught? Because 150 and an 80 is well into stunt driving. Like 150 is stunting anywhere. So tell me your tale of woe. What happened to you when you got caught doing 150 and an 80? Okay. Kevin Cooper says, that's what happened to me. 52 in a 50. 52 and a 50? Where was that? What jurisdiction was that in? 52 and a 50 with a speed camera. I'd like to know. We got here. And Julian says he got a warning for doing 150 and an 80. I don't think I buy that, Julian. I mean, that's either a really lazy cop, or it was your uncle. Like, how do you get a warning for doing that? That was, you should have had your car taken, your license suspended. That should have significantly impacted your life. Now, if that warning changed your behavior going forward, okay. But I don't buy that. I don't know if a cop would put their career on the line doing that. But hey, listen, it can happen. I just don't believe that it should or would. I guess I believe it could. Depends on what jurisdiction were you in. I suppose there's some cops who just don't want to do any paperwork, because it is paperwork. Bradford. Okay, so Bradford was setting things to 2 kilometers over. That's gross. See, that's why the program got screwed, because communities were being stupid. All right, what we got here? What's the laws about yielding to buses in Ontario? This is from Dartmouth person. Okay, yielding to buses that have the like TTC city buses when they are re-entering the road from servicing a bus bay. You have to yield to them, and if not, there's a charge for it under the Highway Traffic Act. Where's my phone? There's my phone. And thanks for the follow to I can't read that name, but I appreciate the follow. Oh, here, where is it? It's gonna say in a second. Okay, I gotta come back to that. I can't see. Can't see who it was. But thanks for the follow. Yes, and if you are watching and you know someone who needs to know stuff and things about driving, send this to them. Maybe they'll join and learn something. You know, for the folks that you think suck as drivers, and everyone knows someone who needs more help. Even if you just think they'd find it interesting, please share it. And please tap the screen on TikTok until your fingers go numb. It really helps bring more people to the party. And TikTok tends to bring more people in when you tap the screen. It's one of them things. All right, I'm looking up the fine details. I got to download a new version of the database. We talk about the bus bay. Here we go. Bus bay, yield to bus. Okay, so it's $110. And it says every driver of a vehicle in a lane of traffic adjacent to a bus bay shall yield the right of way to the driver of a bus who has indicated his or her intention as prescribed to re-enter that lane from the bus bay. But it doesn't talk about just yielding all the time. Fail to yield. Not that the typo. I'm just going to look and see if there's any other wording. Boop-a-doo, boop-a-doo. There's only re-entering bus bay. So that means that it means to me that it wouldn't be appropriate. Like they just want to change lanes and you don't have to yield to them. It's nice. I do it. But that's about that courtesy thing we were talking about. Okay. Let's go on. We got Dawson who says, "Hey, Sean, question, not a traffic question, but are spring-assisted knives legal?" So this is actually a really good question. So under the Criminal Code of Canada, a switchblade is prohibited. That is a button release situation. So if someone tells you that a spring assist is illegal, it's not factually correct. Now that means, I wonder if I have one here. I usually have a knife around somewhere. But if you're pushing on the blade and you start the opening process, like the Kershaw, which I think created the whole spring assist thing, you push on the blade and you open it halfway, and it opens the rest away by way of that spring assist. That's not defined in the criminal code, so it's not prohibited on its own. Oddly enough, though, a gravity knife is. So, or a flick knife. So if you loosen the bolt on any knife, the bolt screw, the bearing, whatever that's called, the axle. I don't know terminology for knives, but if you loosen that so that you can just flick it open, that would be illegal. That would be a prohibited knife. So now you've got definitions that tread into any knife could be illegal. Now you have knives that you can flick. But is it that a police officer can flick it, or is it that the average layperson can flick it? Because I had knives that were from Spyderco years ago. I mean, before I was a police officer, I had a knife that you could flick it open, but you had to like really reef on it to do it. But of course, I would do it until I could figure out how to do it. And then I had the technique. And does that make it a prohibited knife? No. It took considerable practice and learning to figure out how to flick it. So if you were ever asked, how do you open that knife? Would be the appropriate answer, two hands. You'd never want to demonstrate flicking that knife because it would be seeing it being flicked. That would be, the supporting evidence. But just like I said, if an officer with specific skills and abilities were able to flick it, but you couldn't, well, that doesn't automatically make it prohibited. I see the Katrina Ledger. Thank you so much for the gift. They sent a gift of sorts, and it of course any monies collected through our live streams go to the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education, which is a not-for-profit organization. Moving on. So it's not a switchblade just because it's got a spring assist. It has to be button released. Da, 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 da. Stressed is a bigger term. I like that. Yes, big easy. Okay, Kevin Cooper. Thank you, thank you. Let's see here. Rob Warner 595 says blue wall of silence equals criminals and traitors. This is an anti-police statement from Rob Warner 595. I think maybe once upon a time the blue wall of silence was a thing. It ain't no thing no more, no more. Nobody's willing to put their $130,000 career on the line for someone who's a douchebag who's breaking the law. There's no hiding. Nobody's going to do a cover up to protect someone who's doing something wrong. And proof of that is the fact that we just arrested a whole bunch of people. I say we as though I'm still with the service. I'm not. I'm a former police officer. And the fact is that we find bad cops, we hold them accountable, we bring them to justice. We don't want them to be cops anymore. That's how that works. Nobody hates a bad cop more than a good cop does. So your statement is ridiculous. Yeah. We have an entire division dedicated to finding bad cops. So this whole blue wall of silence thing, I think it's a silly statement. You guys don't implicate yourself. It's too funny. As I was talking about my childhood passenger experience going way too fast. And Kevin Cooper says, I think we all have done some dumb stuff, but thinking back, it was so bad. Yeah. It's funny that when you're a kid doing dumb stuff, it's dumb stuff. But when you think about it as an adult, you go, I could have died. I could have, if he would have made one wrong move, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. And that's the putting the spin on it from an adult perspective when you realize how easy it is for things to go south. And having been a police officer for as long as I was, I saw things that went south. And it could be your first time, your 50th time. There's no guarantee that you're gonna make it through 49 before 50 and fail. It could be your first time and your last time. User lots of numbers says my name is also Sean, by the way. Well, welcome also Sean. Glad to have you. Appreciate all of you for joining the live stream today. It's a wonderful Friday, a good Friday, and I hope that you are, going to get the opportunity to spend time this Easter with family. If you celebrate it, if it's Passover that you celebrate, I hope that you are having a good time too. We've got His Excellence who wants to join. Let's see what he's got to say. What's going on?
Greetings to you. Thank you for this.
How are you?
I'm good. I hope you're good as well.
Absolutely. What do you want to talk about?
So, as an international student, am I allowed to use my driving license from back home?
So, if you are you're an international student, but you're now living in Ontario, is that correct?
I'm living in Ontario right now.
So, in Ontario, you are considered a resident while you're a student here. So, you'd have to apply for a local driver's license. If you were just visiting, you'd be able to use your license from back home temporarily while you're visiting. But now that you're a resident and you're attending school here, you have to get a local Ontario driver's license, and you might be able to get credit for your driving experience from back home, but you may also be stuck with getting a G1 and continuing your process as a new driver.
Thank you for letting me know. I've been driving with my license from back home. I just haven't been stopped before.
Yeah, well, that's the issue. And the issue is you might, and I've had that situation happen many, many times. Something else to know is once you've applied for a G1 or a permit here, whatever that works out to, you can go to Service Ontario and you can find out what it is equivalent to and how much experience they might be able to. How many years of driving experience do you have back home?
3.
3 years. So they might give you credit for that and allow you to accelerate your process to get a G2, so you wouldn't have to wait as long. You just need to make sure you bring that proof or something to satisfy them. The first year, you can just tell them you have a year experience. They'll give you the year. But anything more than that, you need to have documentation from your home country. Where are you from?
Uganda.
Okay. I would say definitely reach out to. I think I have links. If you go to trafficcop.ca, you can get links to some of the information there on international driving and see what kind of stuff they can do to help you. But know that once you might get away with it for a short time, but you may also have major issues with your insurance company. Like if you get into a crash, the insurance company could say, "Well, you're not licensed here."
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, thank you for letting me know.
You're very welcome. All the best.
Take care.
Okay. Somebody else had jumped in to ask if they could come in. Let's see what's here. Did that work? Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Excellent. What do you want to talk about?
So I'm about a week away from applying to the Niagara Regional Police Service.
Right on.
I'm pretty confident in my resume, cover letter, assuming I get an interview. You got any interview tips?
Interview tips is tough. In terms of like, I can't tell you what kind of stories or things to discuss, but the big thing is be open and honest and have some ideas ready. So, what have they told you in terms of preparation?
Other than like the OACP and resume and cover letter, I'm being told, yeah, what you said, be honest. I've been studying like the populations of the local towns.
So you're doing local focus to give an idea, like to talk about what you know about the service and the community you want to serve. That's the type of interview you're doing, or are you doing your actual panel interview, or basically behavioral event
No,
style?
so I actually don't have an interview scheduled yet, but I'm assuming that I'm going to.
Okay. So
my experience and
generally it's broken up into two separate segments. You do one where you're talking about what you know about the service and the community you want to serve, and then there's usually another side, which is the real interview, which is talking about you and times in your life where you've dealt with conflict or issues and how you've dealt with them, and it really calls on you to go back to your experience. So they'll generally give you some documents when you get to that stage that will prepare you, like give you 5 or 6 topics that you need to be able to discuss, and that way it gives you time to go home and think about experiences in your life that are good examples of those things. So if they said, talk about a time in your life when you had conflict, you have to think of something. Well, this was a conflict. This is how I resolved it, and this is what I did. What I did do, what I didn't do, why I did what I did. Like, be able to explain everything and do that openly.
So you're saying that there's typically 2 interviews.
Some services blend them. Sometimes they do portions online. Like, I don't know how the service that you're applying to will handle it. It should be outlined on their website, to some degree. But the interview about who you are is the one that people have the most difficulty with.
That's the one where you might have to talk about conflict and stuff in your life.
Yeah, things where some time in your life when you've experienced something, like they might ask you, tell me a time in your life when you dealt with racism. And it could be something where you saw it, where you experienced it yourself, where you and be able to expand on it. They don't give you a lot of lead up or guidance there, other than what they've already published.
Right on. I appreciate it. I don't have any more questions.
Awesome. Have a good one. Take care.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Okay. I love that I can take guests on through TikTok. It's really, really awesome. Which some people hit the button and try and do that, and I've gone through many live streams where nobody tries a thing. So that's cool. Thanks for coming on. If you do want to join, by all means, hit the button and come on in. We'll chat. And I'm going to go back to questions in the chat. Let me scroll back because it's gone through a number of little spins. Spins being updates where the screen went whoop and spun up. What is it actually called? I don't know. All right. There's the here. And Sabak says, can you get a ticket for driving in the nude? I don't think there's a specific charge for that under the Highway Traffic Act. Could you be getting a ticket for, charged criminally for doing something like that? If it was, I don't think it would be specifically just driving nude. I think it would be doing something indecent. And is it indecent exposure? I think depends if what you're doing. But I appreciate the question. I've never run into that. I've never really gone down the rabbit hole on it, nor do I really want to spend time thinking about anyone driving in the nude. Yeah. Just, ew. Why would anyone want to do that? Is it just for the air conditioning's broken and you're feeling warm? His Excellence wants to know if you can get more than 2 parking tickets if I leave the old one on the wipers. Yes, you can still get more than one ticket. Decepticons Forever says, Sean, did you see the Toronto police arrested someone from the March 5th incident? I think I did see that for a poster, right? Yeah, I did see that. Good stuff. And I'm glad that they're arresting and prosecuting these people. International student. Oh, okay, that was there. Gotcha. Decepticons Forever wants to know if I like Firehouse subs. Yes, although I don't go there very often, I do like them. and I do appreciate them. They do something really cool for emergency services. They're just good peeps. I like that. I think it was actually started by firefighters. Okay, we got that question already covered. Oh, Matthew, thank you for suggesting that. Matthew suggested watching Short Circuit. I loved Short Circuit. Johnny Five Alive. I got to watch that. Absolutely. I think I watched it with them when they were younger, but I think we'll watch it again. That's a great suggestion. There's multiples of that movie. With 52 and a 50 is a stop. Sean would have made. No, I wouldn't have made 52 and a 50. No, 35 and a 30, I would have. Okay. Peter, what's going on? Honda Nation, how's it going? Honda Nation says, I have skin cancer. I have a tinted windshield and doctor's note for exemption. Will that work in court? Sadly, no. In Ontario, there is no exemption. Well, first of all, in Ontario, there's no exemption for tint. There's an exemption for seatbelts. There's no exemption for tint. Could it work in court like, oh, I have a doctor's note? Okay, you have a legitimate documented thing that is, that they could take into consideration, but it is not an excuse for breaking the law. So you can wear clothing that protects you from UV. You can get a UV coating, but tinting your windshield is not legal. And that makes your vehicle unfit. It's unsafe for the road. You can't get it certified. So if it's not certifiable as unsafe, having skin cancer does not give you the right to use something unsafe. That's like saying, I want to carry a switchblade because I got a doctor's note. It's one's criminal, one's HTA, but I'm trying to say it's just there's no way to get there. And most windows have UV coatings already built in, so you're not getting the UV rays through the windows anyway. But I appreciate that, and I hope they are able to treat your skin cancer. I have many friends who have dealt with skin cancer. It's not fun. Okay, Dawson says, I got caught doing 120 and an 80 with a G2 and got my license suspended for 30 days and since looked down. I don't know what the look down is, but maybe they looked down, meaning it's continued somewhere else. Since that, I figured it out. Look down. Since then, I don't speed like that. I really learned because it screwed me. Yeah, that's the whole concept behind enforcement. People say, oh, it's just a money grab for the po to, take the money and make money for the man. And we don't get commission. I don't get paid a bonus because I write tickets, a lot or a little. It's about changing driver behavior. It's about slowing people down long term. And Dawson wants to jump in. Hey, Dawson, what's going on?
Hey, nothing much. How you doing?
Good. So we're just discussing your experience getting a speeding ticket. So it really changed your life?
Yeah, it wasn't fun at all. I was 18, and I had my G2, and I had smaller tires for winter, so it changed the speedometer on my car.
So it was over-reporting or under-reporting?
I actually think it was under.
Because your wheels were traveling more okay. I have to visualize that, but
so I got pulled over, and I also had a straight pipe on my car, so it was OPP, and he said that if he couldn't hear my car from a couple kilometers away, then he wouldn't have caught me speeding.
I buy that. It's funny. We so many times we do things because we think they're cool and modify our vehicles, and it just makes us a heat score. Because I've pulled over a ton of vehicles for license plate lights, raw pipes, straight pipes, or the I call them fart cans. The cheap aftermarket mufflers that don't do anything except make noise. So all those things just draw attention to yourself, and if other issues are going on, you really get it on both ends.
Yeah. Long story short, it suspended my license for 30 days. Because it wasn't stunt driving, I didn't get my vehicle towed. But it was basically $900 after everything, like after the fines and reinstating my license. And then my insurance doubled.
Oh my!
Up to $700.
Ow!
And it just went down now to $430 a month.
Oh my! That's intense. People don't realize what the long-term consequences are. Had it been stunt driving, it would have been even more. And had you gotten a subsequent suspension, It would have been like, because if you get it was because you had 4 points on that ticket is what triggered the escalating measures. If you would have gotten another 4 point ticket, it would have gone to a 90-day suspension the second time. And if you got a third ticket that triggered the escalating measures, you would have lost your license and had to start at a G1 again.
Jeez, yeah, that would have sucked. But yeah,
Yeah.
I tell all my buddies whenever they speed, I always tell them don't. Like it's not worth it. Like sure, it's fun in the moment, but one, it's dangerous, and two, if you get caught, you're like it's not fun. Trust me.
No, it's not, and it's a momentary thrill, and that's if nothing goes wrong. If you hit someone, if like I have so many friends and horror stories. Even when I was in high school, someone that had transferred into my school was in a crash, killed 3 of his friends in his car because things went wrong. In that particular one, alcohol was involved. I have a friend who's on a speaking circuit. He received burns to 95% of his body, and 3 of his buddies died in the car. He wasn't driving; he was drunk. His friend who was driving was sober. Crashed the car, fiery ball, and he's the only one who survived. So we talk about the incidents where a ticket was the result, but it could have been so much worse.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Anytime. Take care.
Bye.
So let's get back to that. That's awesome. I love that we can do that. Yeah, we talk about the best times. We talk about when the worst case scenario is, oops, you got a ticket and you lost a license and you paid for it. But it could have been so much worse. Let's see here. We got Big Easy says, I got a warning when it should have been an excessive stunting ticket in a rural jurisdiction. It completely changed my outlook on law enforcement and haven't been pulled over since. Right on, brother. That's awesome. So you could have been charged with stunting and you got a warning too. So you're the second person who said you got a warning. So I'm starting to believe that a lot of cops outside of the city would warn for that. In Toronto, I think it's just that we're at the point where we're done. We're done, especially with takeovers. It is so ridiculous the amount of stunt behavior that we see on the roads that I don't think coppers here would entertain a warning. I reduced one once. I had someone who was doing like, what was it, 90 and a 40, and I reduced it. It's before they did the two-stage thing, so they were over 50 over, and I reduced it by 1 kilometer so I didn't take their car and ruin their day. And suspend their license, but I gave them the ticket less for the speeding, and they still fought it. Like I gave them a gift, I saved them thousands of dollars. They still fought it, but they were dead to rights guilty. Okay, Dakota White says, tinting your windshield to prevent glare from others' headlights. Would some officers let that slide? Probably not. I mean, here's the deal. If that's the only thing you've got that's happened, you may never get noticed because that's not the focus of every cop on the road. The focus on people on the road is to find people who are actively driving in a dangerous manner, putting lives at risk. Now, don't get me wrong. Tinted windshields are a risk to safety. It's the reality. If you reduce the amount of light coming in, it's less of an issue during the day. It's a bigger issue at night. I was recently in Guatemala. I was driving there, and Guatemala, no laws. No laws. Every car is tinted so dark that when you get in the car, it feels weird. Like it's blazing hot outside. You get inside, you close the doors. I'm like, okay, I get it. It reduces solar load. It's cooler inside. I totally understand. We went into an underground parking lot. We couldn't see. We had to open the window, stick our heads up. It was terrible. I did not feel safe. And then your eyes get blasted when you get out of the car. No, it's not cool. But anyway. Decepticons Forever says Short Circuit 2 made the ending making sad. Mr. John Party, morning, Sean. Stay healthy, buddy. Hey, thanks so much. John Party says firefighter have issues taking down the glass with film installed. Also, I do work with a company called ClearGuard. They're sponsors of the show, and I'm working on getting you some our listeners discounts with them. But the deal is that someone had asked me yesterday if film treated to prevent break-ins makes it harder for firefighters to get in the house if they have to go through the window. And they want to know if there was like a button to press to get through faster or easier. And the truth is, it does make it harder to get in, and it makes it harder to get out if you have to go through the glass. But it's not impossible. It just takes longer. And the joy of criminals is they're lazy, and the goal is to have them not get into your house. Although there are other things to consider when you talk about fire and so on. Boom, boom, boom. I want to scroll back. I've been ignoring the YouTube folks after Phil didn't like my glasses. So Akela Draconis came in and said, greetings and salutations from Maddock. He says, happy Good Friday surprise show. Well, I mentioned that I was going to come on. I just didn't really specify what time. And Akela says, haters are going to hate. Julie says, good morning, Sean. Okay, no jokes today. If you do have jokes, dad jokes, happy to read your dad jokes. Happy to bring guests on. If you're on TikTok, that's the easy way to do it. Brandon says, hello, Sean and all from beautiful Florida. Sorry, he says, sorry, I'm late. Been a crazy week. Saw my first rocket launch in person this past week. I didn't even realize they were still launching missions from Florida. I would have loved to have seen that. That's awesome. Yes. Yeah, very cool. This little jaunt, watching it all over media. We got Erwin Curtis, who says, question, why aren't there more roundabouts? Face blue smiling emoji, which translated, I guess, from YouTube to text. You know what? Roundabouts require planning. Not every jurisdiction utilizes them as much as others. And I have a love-hate relationship with them. I love that I don't have to come to a stop when no one's around, but I also recognize that half the people don't know what the hell they are and how to use them, which causes a huge amount of confusion. And it's like playing chicken whenever you go into them, at least in my neighborhood. So, in some jurisdictions, they're everywhere. And they're widely used in Europe, and people just know how to use them. But yeah, it's kind of, as new developments go up, they probably utilize them more. Yes, I still have your May 4th video, Akela. So that's something I have. Let's see here. What do we have here? How about the yellow line double? Christian Paul says, how about the yellow line, double yellow line, crossed yellow line? Do you mean, can you legally cross a yellow line? First of all, we have to understand what a yellow line is. A white line means that the person on the other side of the line is going in the same direction of you. And if you are have a yellow line, it means that the people are going in the opposite direction of you. It's an indicator to help give you information so you can make better choices. Anyway, the long and the short of it is that there's no ticket in the province of Ontario for doing that. It's not a thing. If you cause a collision because you did it, then it is a thing. You'd be responsible for that, but there's no charge here. Now, we're the only province in the country that doesn't have a charge for that. That is, according to my understanding, we're the only ones that, because it makes sense. The line should be enough, but for once, and they're talking about changing it. So we might be, now or moving to be the same as everybody else, which just hasn't happened yet. Okay, let's go back here. We got, Wiener Dog says, when the hall monitor grows up. So I guess Wiener Dog is when the kid who gets held back for 5 grades and still in kindergarten doesn't grow up. I don't know. What do people come up here and just troll? I think it's very funny. They don't hurt feelings, but they do identify themselves as dum-dums. Okay. Dakota White says, tinting your windshield to prevent from glare. We talked about that one. Okay. Canada Guns. How come when police have an AR-15, it's a patrol carbine, but mine's an assault rifle? Listen, dude, don't get me started with the firearm thing. The most ridiculous law and crap to pass in government is this whole assault weapon ban. It's crap, and the Liberal government should be ashamed of themselves for wasting the money and just being generally stupid. Yeah. Now, I'm not commenting on anything else outside of that law, but that particular law is stupid. And they've been told by pretty much every chief of police in other language that it's stupid. Because it's stupid. They're going after legal firearm owners to prevent crime. Because criminals care about laws? No, it's stupid. Anyway. But at the same time, there's exemptions in all laws. Why can police speed? This is Coolio's like, because we're the fuzz. No, the police are exempt from certain laws, and the weapons that are used by police, like, look, police can have magazines that carry more than 10 rounds. It's a prohibited item, but it's exempt for police because they can have 14 rounds in their 40 cal Smith & Wesson Glocks, or Smith & Wesson being the round. They can have, Glock 19s can have, I believe, 19 rounds in their magazine. maybe it's 17 rounds. Whatever it is, they're allowed to have more than 10, which is more than the civilians can have. They can have all sorts of stuff that you can't have. It's not because we're the fuzz. It's because there's a legit reason to have them. And for whatever reason, they believe that civilians shouldn't have them. Now, I'm not saying that everyone should have a firearm, but I am saying that an AR-15 is a rifle, just like an SKS, just like a bolt action. Okay, one is semi-automatic and one is bolt, but they do damage. So are you just starting here and coming for the rest, or like what's the game? And is that going to change anything that happens with criminals? Because last I checked, people in the UK and the people in Australia, they still the bad guys still have pew-pews. They didn't get them legally. So what are the laws that ban them doing? Nothing. Anyway, okay. His Excellence says we talked about that already. Okay. Who knows? Question mark. If a cop comes to my door to take my guns, we're going to be on the news. Fortunately, I don't think anybody's coming for your stuff because it doesn't look like it's happening. And then now what is that organization that I'm pretty sure I made a donation or I joined their membership. But they're taking the government back to Supreme Court. They've been authorized to bring it back. So I'm glad to hear that that's still going. Are police officers still trained in how to install all different sizes of car seats? That's Kristen asking the question. And the answer is no, not all police officers. Toronto Police did qualify a bunch of us a number of years ago, and they just requalified a bunch to be installers, but they don't install. So are they installers? They take the course, but because of liability things, they can no longer install for you and send you on your way, because what happens is you loosen it and then you don't know how to put it back in. So what they do is they teach you how to install it, and then you install it, and they supervise to make sure you're doing it right. Okay. Matthew says Milwaukee knives are easy to open, the flick open and closed. Yeah, you should check to see if you can tighten that bolt, whatever that pin bolt. Yeah. His Excellence wants to know if he's allowed to have a radar detector in his car. And the answer is in Ontario, you may not. Possession, purchase, sale, it's all illegal. You cannot transport them. So no. And the ticket's $170 and they can seize the device. They can also search your vehicle if they have reasonable and probable grounds. In a previous video, I said it was suspicion alone. It's not suspicion alone. It's RPG, reasonable probable grounds to believe that you have a radar detector in your car. So what is RPG versus suspicion? Suspicion is, I think he's got it. Reasonable probable grounds is being able to explain that to a lay person that if they saw the same thing, they too would come to the conclusion that you have said device in your vehicle. Okay. Dawson says no, sadly. I got to say, and I've said it before, I have a real problem with radar devices or radar detectors or anything that interferes with police and their ability to monitor and enforce speed laws. So here's the deal. If you have a radar detector or a device that alerts when police are engaged in speed enforcement or interfere with their ability to read your speed accurately, what you're doing is you're making it so you don't get caught breaking the law, whether it be by changing your behavior temporarily so that you avoid detection and you continue doing whatever you want after you pass, or by making it impossible or difficult for police to read the number on your vehicle and thus not be able to pull you over. That's the idea. So yeah, it's a problem because, like I said earlier in the show, where we want to catch you, hold you responsible, and then have you make good decisions going forward. Well, if you get away with it, then we don't change your behavior, right? You just keep getting away with it. You keep taking the risks that lead to, sadly, loss of life. Tactical Flapjacks says, must be hard to be a cop knowing you're enforcing laws that are made by, oh, you're an idiot. Okay, moving on. Where are you even going with that statement? Like where on earth would you make that statement from? I like that you spell checked yourself, but that's just silliness. Well, that deserves, just by using that word, what do you call it? That word deserves to mute you. So I have muted you. Thus, you can no longer comment in this live. Okay, moving along. Matt Dillon, I live up in a small community in heavy bear country. Can I walk around with a knife and bear spray? So knives are not prohibited devices. You're allowed to have a knife. You may have to, like, machetes are not prohibited. You can, but you can't bring it to a major event in a big city, but you can go in the woods with a machete because you're cutting brush. There's a reason for you to have it. It's logical. It makes sense. You can have a knife for cutting fruit. You can have a knife for opening envelopes and boxes and such. Knives are not prohibited. If you say you're carrying it for self-defense, now you're carrying a weapon. Different thing, but you've determined what that is. In terms of bear spray, if you're walking around in the woods, it makes sense to have bear spray. If you're walking around downtown Toronto with bear spray, you're going to be investigated, and there are charges that could be laid. It all depends on how that interaction goes. Canada Gun says, "Do you support the handgun ban?" No, it's stupid. Okay, but again, when it comes to firearms, the party that's making these bans, they don't even know what guns are. I know that they hire police officers and have as personal security, so they appreciate guns as long as they're protecting them. Yeah, no, I don't appreciate this government and their cockamamie way of doing things. What is this? I don't know what that is. Can you drive a lowered car in Ontario? The answer is, if it's lawful, if it's a legal, safe, and lowered car, there's no problem with it as long as it's safe. If it's being done so low that there's body and tire or frame and tire contact, that's not legal. If you've lowered it so much that you have camber, that's not legal. Like so much camber that you're beyond what would be acceptable. And then there's whatchamacallit. Yeah, you can't. I mean, you have to have a suspension that functions. So some people get a proper lowering done, and some people cut springs and do dumb stuff. Don't do dumb stuff. That's Greg Marshall. What's going on? Good to see you. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, okay, Mr. John Party's talking about film that holds glass in place. Or we're talking about tint and getting people out of cars in a collision. Yes, totally understand your perspective there. I thought you were talking about the home stuff. He was in a collision where tint was held in, preventing the volunteers for getting in the car. You would think that they would be able to breach the window with just a little more effort, but that they would still be able to get in. Let's see here. There's new ones in our county. I'm not sure what we're talking about there. Okay. Double yellow. Yes. Oh, Mr. John Party was just asking about single. Mr. John Party, you would be charged. What is this? Double yellow. Double yellow just means it's telling both directions not to cross. You could have a single hash and solid. It just tells you one side shouldn't move and the other one could. Radar jammers, same as this is just a string of stuff from Mr. John Party on Instagram. So the deal is that radar jammers are no different than radar detectors in that they interfere with police enforcing speed laws and are illegal. Just making sure. All right, moving along and coming back. Okay. Fixed blades are always best. They are for deployment time. Yeah. I'm a knife guy. I like knives. I like all things, but I have a collection of knives. Okay. Scrolling back because I a whole bunch of stuff updated. What software are you using to stream? This is a question from Speedbird. I use Ecamm for my or Ecamm Pro for my foreground, background graphics and stuff, so I can do switches like this. But that's I can also stream directly from that, but I use this for recording videos and setting up my live stream. In terms of the broadcasting to multiple platforms, I'm using Restream. If you want to get links, I have links to all of that at trafficcop.ca. At the bottom, I've got referral links. They do create an affiliate link. So if you use it, you'll get a discount and it'll kick back a commission to the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education. So if you do plan on using them, by all means, go get the coupons and stuff that are linked there. There is a free version of Restream, and Restream Studio allows us to do things like put comments from multiple places on screen. It allows us to have like right now, it's going to Twitch, Facebook, Kick, YouTube. It's going to, and YouTube's going into two different vertical and horizontal. It's also going to Rumble. That's all done. The rebroadcasting is all happening by way of Restream. More, I can do a whole show just on restreaming and streaming and stuff and things. I've been using the software forever. Love it. Okay. I see Nicholas Rizzi with his bear comment. Yes, thank you. Okay. Greg Marshall says the banner at the top and bottom makes it hard to read the comments. I've looked at changing it. But I'm having a difficult time at the moment with that. Let's see. It looks different on every platform. I'll have to look at redesigning and maybe tinting. What can I do here? Hang on a second. Maybe I can make your life easier. If I go and what if I create a shape? Is this a shape button? Or is this a shape button? I did this once before. So if I were to do that, I think it looks awful. But maybe I could change the color. Stand by. I can make it gray. I can make it transparent or opacity. Maybe I'll make it, maybe this will make it easier to see. Let me know if that's better. If I made it a little, I mean, the banner's the banner. There's only so much real estate I got here. Okay. But if that improved it at all, I'll look at keeping that going forward. All right. Scrolling back. Now I want to go to the range. I want to go shooting because we've been talking about guns and knives. What do we got here? We got this comment. I got a warning for no lights on my trailer. Does it stay on my record or attached to the vehicle? So if you got a warning, it's attached to your license. It's your identification that was used to create that warning. And it's a warning. Nothing happens. It's just a warning that's on file. But let's say you get pulled over again, whether it be a police officer from the same jurisdiction or another, they'd be able to see that there was a warning issued and likely not give you another warning. So that's a thing. Okay. Scrolling back. Here we go. I think we're finally at the ones we were at before I started talking about other stuff. What do I think about Surons or Talarias? I'm guessing that's a competitor to Suron. Listen, I think they're cool devices. I think they're technologically superior e-bikes, but they're really just motorcycles. Like they're electric motorcycles that people use as e-bikes. So they're not legal for the road. They're capable of stupid speeds. Stupid good if you're talking about performance, but stupid illegal and not meant for the road. They're off-road only, unless you're licensing them for the road as a motorcycle, which may or may not be a legit use. Cobra. I don't know if Cobra's for my kids, but Cobra was a great Stallone movie. I would watch that again. Aaron Rocker says, cops only take the job for the happiness and thrill of, no, you're an idiot, Aaron Rocker. He's suggesting that cops like to hurt and red rum people, or you know, I don't want to say things that'll create issues for the internet. But Aaron Rocker is a Mayron because they're suggesting that what they're suggesting is cops aren't joining the job to help people, and that's exactly why cops join the job. There may be one or two weirdos, but certainly nobody wants to take a life. That's just a moronic statement. Okay. What about the Benz that have, what about the Mercedes-Benz that have blue glass from factory? Blue glass from factory is blue glass from factory, and it's not a film applied to the glass. And I've been looking at this green ones, this blue ones. It's part of the baked in the laminate layer of the glass. And I don't like it, but it's not tinted by aftermarket film and it's not reducing the transmission of light as much as we might think. Okay. And see what Dashcam Vids already jumped on Aaron Rocker. That's good. Dwayne Lamarche says, why can't they make signs transmit a signal to the car for allowable speed? Well, we can already geocache. And I think what's going to happen as we're seeing that we can't have nice things is that we are actually going to see a loss of the ability to control our own speed. I think we're eventually going to get to fully autonomous vehicles where no one's going to drive. If anyone knows the Rush song, Shiny Red Bart, is it Barchetta? I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's a great song, and it talks about the fact that he sneaks out and takes his uncle's old car for a rip because that vehicle isn't controlled. It can go as fast as it's capable. I think we're going to see that people are going to lose their ability to control their own speed. It's going to max out for everybody based on geofencing. And is that an answer to safety? Kind of, sort of. Apparently, we can't have nice things. And then what people will do is they'll hack their systems and have illegal vehicles with beyond the limiters, and we'll have other problems to investigate. But for the vast majority of people, that's going to be a solution. It's sad that we have to even consider these things because we could just all be grown-ups and do the speed limit, but apparently not an option because people can't do that legal thing. They don't want to follow the law. Are there differences in laws between regular cars and classic cars? Kind of, sort of, in that if you have a vehicle that was manufactured and safetied or approved for the road without seatbelts, that predates the law requiring seatbelts, they're grandfathered. So if you have a 50s car and seatbelts didn't come into play until the 70s, well, they don't need seatbelts. Now, I don't like driving them without seatbelts because it's still unsafe, but you don't have to have them. And you can even have kids in the car with no car seats or safety belts because it wasn't required for that vehicle. Just like mufflers. You have vehicles that didn't need mufflers because they were manufactured before catalytic converters or muffler. Like, they're grandfathered. And so many people are buying older, like they're buying vehicles that are classic, but then they're upgrading them technologically, but they're messing with things. I think it goes based on the VIN. Either way, I love old cars. Love old cars. Thanks for the follow, whomever that was. I see rugby stuff 100 followed. Appreciate the follow. Somebody else followed. I'll get to them in a second. See what Dashcam says. I own a 57 Chevy with bench seats and no belts. Hell yes. And Chef Val's, thanks for the roses. Oh my goodness, 21 roses. Appreciate you. That all goes to the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education. Appreciate your support. Okay, my RX-7 doesn't have airbags, so I'm wondering if quick-release steering wheels are legal or not. So if your vehicle does not have airbags, then removing the steering wheel and changing it for another would be perfectly legal. Now, I'm not a big fan of quick-release steering wheels. As long as it's secured and you're not screwing with it, doesn't fail, I don't know if that would be a problem in any way. The issue is when people are disabling and removing their airbags, which is not legal. Not allowed. Thou shalt not drive. Yeah. But I mean, many people used to make or put aftermarket steering wheels on classic cars. It's absolutely legal. Again, quick release, I don't get it. Unless it's like, you could make the argument that maybe to prevent theft. And I as long as it's a securely mounted, properly engineered steering wheel, I think you'd be okay. But the caveat is airbags. You don't have them, I think you're okay. If you had them, I think you're not. Westcott Sam. If I'm at a two-way stop and a school bus stops, can I proceed to go if it's not obstructing them? Two-way stop. You mean turn or pass them? You can. So if they're stopped and you're facing them, you cannot cross paths with them. They're stopped with their sign out. You can't go the other way. It's just what it is. And you have to stop. You can't pass them in the other direction. If you're talking about it's a four-way stop and you're going, you're crossing in front of them, then you can. Oh, see what Dashcam says. I do astrophotography. He loves the night sky. That's cool. I actually have, not that you need this kind of technology anymore, but I used to be very into photography and I haven't had time for it for years, but you get the remote that does all the, I can't remember what it's called now. You know what I'm talking about. I have one of them. Just never used it. Bought it on Marketplace. Tally says, Tally says, hi, Sean. My husband is a forensic identification assistant and will be on an episode of Crime Beat. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, I don't have cable. What's Crime Beat? That sounds cool, though. I'd love send me a message when you got a link to an online episode. I'd love to watch that. That's cool. Do, 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 do. Snowman Show says I can jump the highway with my Chevy Aveo. Okay, let's go. What is this? Seawood says in 1998, I was in grade 9 in my 4th period class, was a 21-year-old man. Maybe are you saying he was a troll? Mike Wilson, can people pass you going uphill if the line is solid and right lane is ending? Can they pass you? So when you're going uphill, you're not supposed to go into oncoming traffic because you have no visibility. It's one of those things that is unsafe. So there's things that you should not do because they should not be done by anyone. Okay. Undisclosed 7114 says, can you tell me about the windshield tint regulation? I was told if it's a car from factory made after 2020, it's allowed. So let's back it up because so first of all, if it was manufactured before 2017, being a 2016 or older, they're allowed to have the 3-inch tint strip across the top of the windshield. In fact, what you want to look at is the light truck and passenger vehicle inspection guideline. I think I have a link to it at trafficcop.ca in my link tree. It stipulates what is and what isn't permitted, clear as day. Now, if it's 2017 and newer, you're not allowed to have any tint on the windshield. That said, it's tint that's added. If it's being imported and it's part of the glass, then it's part of the vehicle that's being approved for use in the country. It's not an applied film or coating. It's part of the actual glass. Oh. And so I hope that answers your questions. If you have any other stuff, feel free to reach out. If you're coming in on YouTube, you can also get me at askatrafficcop@gmail.com. So Kayla also does astrophotography. Cool beans. What is this? Oh. Scrolling back. Who's stuck in a loop? Greg says stuck in a loop. Coming back. Baba, what is this? Babo Dabo says, are passengers required to ID during a traffic stop? A traditional traffic stop, you just stopping them? No. The thing is, if you are stopping the vehicle and the passenger isn't wearing a seatbelt, then yes. If you are stopping someone that is, if there's open alcohol or drugs in the vehicle, yes. If there's criminality, yes. But if it's just you pulling the driver over for speeding, then no. All right, trying to catch up here. Now we've got a discussion about different calibers. Interesting. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole because I don't think anybody else cares. By the way, I haven't done that thing in a while where I say, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. I also talk about other things, as you can plainly see if you've been watching here for a while. But if you are interested in knowing about stuff and things, by all means, send your questions in. And you can do that by chatting. If you're on TikTok, you can just request to be on the show. And we've had a couple of calls where folks have jumped on and asked questions because they had questions that needed asking. And Tal Glaister, they followed. Thank you for the follow. Seawood Dashcam says, all young men watching, tracks are closing. Please go race at tracks, please. Yes, for the people who talk about take it to the track or the tracks are too expensive, they'll continue to be expensive and go out of business if you don't support them. So by all means, if you want to go and if you want to go and support going fast, do it safely, do it lawfully, and do it at the track. Greg Marshall says, most use LiDAR now. By the time it beeps, you're caught. Yes. People, so for the folks who are using or trying to put radar detectors, LiDAR detectors, or jammers, yeah, there's a couple of things that you should know. One, social engineering is amazing. When we hit the button and you react immediately, we know that you are using it. That's our RPG to pull you over and investigate further. Now, for the jammers, we know if we're measuring two cars that are going the same speed. One says they're doing 40, the other one says they're doing 80. We know the person who says that they're, reporting an incorrect speed. They're the ones with the jammer. We also can establish a speed based on the car beside them. So there's a science there that, they're doing the same speed. Yeah, also have to understand that we're estimating speed prior to even using the measuring device to confirm our estimates. We're trained. We're qualified. We're looking at the car. We go, everyone else is doing 60. Yeah, they're going and pulling out of traffic. They're going faster. The truth is that speed or speeding is the charge. You're guilty of speeding if you're speeding one or more over the posted speed limit. The fact that we need a specific number is not to charge you with speeding. It's to attribute a specific number to the charge. Speed, price, not just number. It's a price. It's the price of the fine. It's the cost of the fine. So we can do things. We can make it work. What is this? Undisclosed says, do you agree that motorcyclists get targeted by cops? Motorcyclists that drive like jackasses do, because they're breaking the law. It's not about being on a motorcycle. I'm a motorcyclist, or I was until my crash. I don't ride anymore, but that's because I want to make my wife happy and she doesn't need more stress in her life. But no, we don't go off and just go after people on motorcycle. We are usually people who ride motorcycle. Many, many cops ride motorcycles. So no, we're not targeting motorcycle riders. We're targeting people who do dumb stuff on motorcycles and dumb stuff in cars and dumb stuff on bicycles and dumb stuff on feet and criminal. Just if you break the rules, don't break the rules. You won't be nothing. No issues. What do we got here? So Brian Biden's talking about why are you allowed to carry a ceremonial sword? So members of the Sikh community can carry a ceremonial dagger / sword. I don't agree with the fact that you can be able to bring weapons around. It can be done, and members of the community and leaders in the community have accepted that a pin representing the is that called a kirpan can be worn in lieu of the big sword. Yeah, I don't agree with being able to carry that. And when people do take it out and use it in carnage, they're eligible for charges, oddly enough. So that's a thing. Should Canadians? No, I'm not going there. At some point, I mean, listen, Larkson, I don't agree with everything the law is. Just govern with your vote. Like use your vote and talk to your friends and make sure they don't vote for the dum-dums. Okay. We talked about this. Oh, please don't tell me that Seawood dash cam. Please no. Okay. Your name. Oh, you're saying over my name. I can't. I guess I could raise that. We'll mess with that later. Okay. Benz, thanks for the follow. Is there a limit on to how bright your headlights can be? I believe there is a law, but the bigger issue is not how bright it is how it's directed. If you are if your headlights are not directed properly, they're going to blind people, and that's the biggest problem. And if you're buying aftermarket bulbs to replace your incandescents or your HUD system and you're replacing with LEDs, those are actually shining out, not direct, and they're using your reflectors, and they're just not being directed properly. That's what's going to cause the biggest issue. Make It Up My Business says, you look too young to retire. What was the deciding factor that made you retire? So technically, I left a week before retirement was an eligibility. There's something called commuting the value of a pension. That's what I did. I left because my family needed me and I needed to be more accessible to them. It was getting to the point where I needed to travel and leave work early, almost on a daily basis to deal with people who needed my help. So it was easier to work from home, doing other stuff and things. And I fortunately have the ability to do other stuff and things. A lot of that has resolved, and everyone's a lot better than they were. So yeah, it was just a matter of making a decision that was best for family. Dallas Lister wants to know, why is tint illegal? Tint is not illegal. Dark tint is illegal because, oddly enough, your eye requires light. That's how it works. And the less light you have, the less you see. It's unsafe. It also blocks nonverbal communication, people looking in, your ability to see them, them to see you, have that nonverbal communication. I always use this example. I'm looking at you now. I'm not looking at you now. You know that if I am looking at you, you are able to, nod, say whatever. Like we're communicating differently than if I'm looking over here. I acknowledge that I prefer being able to look at you when I'm talking to you, but I'm often reading the next comment. And you can probably pick up on the fact that it's not as good or it's different. It feels different. Well, when a window's seriously tinted, I have no idea where the driver's looking. I don't know if I can walk in front of that vehicle. If they're looking at their phone and I walk in front and the car moves, they don't see me. And that's where big problems happen. Undisclosed says, one thing I hate is that people talk about these quotas police officers have. Just don't be an idiot on the road and the cops will leave you alone. Hallelujah. And then continues to say, I understand that, but there's been many cops who stayed driving behind people for a slip up. I've experienced it. Totally not cool. I don't know if they're just waiting for someone to make an excuse, but you can pull anybody over for anything. You don't have to wait for a slip up. You can pull up just to make sure they're licensed, insured, and sober. Yeah. And then, but to go back to the whole quota comment, even if they had quotas, I could care less. Like quotas are just a way of saying go out and do your job. But we don't have quotas. I've never had a quota, but I've always been passionate about traffic safety because I've seen the tragedy that occurs when people are not on it. Okay. Can cops drive with high beams with any emergency lights? Well, first of all, when you activate emergency lights, we have something called wigwags, only legal for police, but it actually shuts down and alternates your headlights. So we wouldn't turn our high beams on, but it just goes and wigwags. Yeah, I've never even thought about that. That's funny that you brought it up. Motorcyclists in the inner city made us OG riders retire before the age of 30. Oh, Dennis, let's block Dennis. It says I'm paying $5,000. Anybody messages baloney. Can a cop tell if my insurance is paused for parking? Yeah, we call the insurance company when we're investigating. Well, first of all, we have two things. We can look up to see what your status is as reported by the Ministry of Transportation, and to verify before laying charges, we're going to call your insurance company and find out. I have laid lots of charges for people who have parking insurance, which is fire and theft, not driving insurance. And they got really upset with me when I charged them for driving with no insurance. I have insurance. No, you don't. You have the fire and theft for storage. And I've charged them for that, and they didn't like it because it's a $5,000 to $25,000 fine. Do you think we as citizens should have the right to carry something to protect ourselves? Sure, why not? I love what the United States has because I think an armed society is a polite society. But that's just me. Now, do I wish that we lived in a society that didn't require that? Yeah, I never thought that it was needed growing up. It was a safe place to be. I don't agree with that anymore. But I don't think that means everyone has to have a pew-pew. It just means that, maybe you need something, or just, learn how to fight. But listen, I will say this, as much as I'm frustrated by the lack of supportive laws of protecting oneself in the way that I would like to. I will say this, that the best way to avoid conflict is always to disengage. Run is the best option if you can, but there's a lot of people who can't. So I like the stand your ground stuff. I like a lot of what the United States does, but at the same time, not everybody agrees with me. So I'll continue with my traffic stuff before I get into more opinionated stuff about other stuff, which I often talk about anyway. I just don't want to get too off topic. And I've gone overtime for the show. I was going to do an hour. I've gone obviously longer, but we're talking about interesting stuff, and I want to help make sure that we can talk about as many things as you'd like to. Alicia Bell says, what advice do you have for someone wanting to become a police officer? And 4 kids in a Porsche joined. Welcome. I will happily talk about recruiting. A very quick blurb, and I'll jump back to traffic stuff because I think recruiting stuff is really important. If you want to become a police officer, obviously you need to work on physical and educational stuff. You have to be in good shape. You have to be able to act in the capacity of a police officer, often putting yourself in harm's way, maybe getting into a fight. So maybe you're going to be fighting. If you're a cop, you're going to get into situations where you have to use physical strength and possibly fighting to do what you need to do to defend yourself for the life of another. So taking martial arts is a great way for your own personal safety and for the safety of others. Know how to use force. You're going to get basic training once you're hired, but you need to have a basis so you're not going in the first time and saying, punch, how does this work? Like you should know your way around a punching bag. That's one. Two, you need to work just for the application process. You need to work on skills that would be otherwise considered childish. Things that you could be a university graduate, you could be a scientist. And if you don't have quick mathematics, you're going to waste time in the application testing, possibly taking too long per question. So I got tutoring in grade 7 and 8 math to work on tricks and things to speed things up so I could race through the easy stuff and have more time for the written stuff. Spelling matters, grammar matters. But volunteerism is possibly the number one thing that you should look at. You want to be making sure that you are contributing to the community you want to serve and be able to show that, not just because you're ticking a box, but if you're already committed to that community, you're on the right track. Maintain employment while you're waiting to become a police officer. Don't just sit on the couch. Yes, physical training and all that stuff is important, but go out and give to the community you want to contribute to. Don't just do it to tick a box. Do it because you want to do it. What is this? John Pula says, what happens when a 2-seater car zigzags from road to bike lane? Huh? You need to ask me that a different way because I'm not. You're talking about someone who's doing dumb stuff in a car? That could be a ton of different things. Depends. Jonathan Wickerson says, for the car community, what common mods for cars does police look for when patrolling? We're looking for lowered cars. We're looking for cars spitting fire. We're looking for cars that are making obscene noise. Too loud is too loud. We're looking for, modifications that suggest you may have bypassed your muffler. Because there's a difference between fire and loud. There's actually, people who just completely dump and run and it goes straight out the bottom, bypassing their cats. We're looking for all those things. And but obviously the keys are going to be noise and height. We're looking for things that stand out. So anything that draws attention to yourself is bad. Also, don't change your headlight colors. Don't change your taillight colors. Also, drawing attention to yourself. Don't tint your windows super dark. Also, drawing attention to yourself. But that's about it. Ben says, hey, Sean, does plate renewal have to be at the beginning of your birthday month or on the day? It expires on your birthday. Unless you're a corporation, then it's the end of the month. Yes. Your license expires on your birthday. Wait, is your tag on your birthday or the end of the month? Oh, now you've got me messed up. I haven't thought about this in a very long time, but I'm going to look it up because it just hasn't been a question for so long since we stopped renewing. Like it's automatic. I haven't put a sticker on. So I thought it's your birth month for sure. I gotta look it up. But I think it was your birthday. Your license obviously expires on your birthday. It's your birthday. Vehicle owner's birthday, not the end of the month. Thank you. Okay. But a commercial one is the end of the month of your fiscal calendar renew, right? Yeah. So it's your birthday. Birthday. Okay. Trying to remember that. Don't talk about that anymore. And the only reason it wouldn't renew is because you have unpaid fines. Okay. Money, happiness, I'm going to assume because it was a $ with a happy face. Hi, Sean. I finished my paramedic degree, but I'm switching to policing after our last conversation. Right on, brother. That's awesome. And I say brother. I don't know who you are or what you are, but I went with brother, and I hope I didn't offend. Misgendering the emojis. Okay. But that's awesome. I'm here for if you have questions, let me know. Carter says, what's the law about rock lights underglow is white light? Okay. As long as you're not projecting outward. So if your rock lights are projecting and blinding people, or if the light bulb and the light projected directly at the sides or the front, the back, it could be an issue. White light is allowed to the front, but not if you have, it depends. Ideally, underglow lights are only projecting directly at the ground, and the only light is reflected off the ground. And then when you're talking about if you're talking about the rock lights, they're generally only good for off-road. Stephen Bell, what's going on, my friends? Been a while. Good to see you. Dre Studios, I thought I saw your name pop up. Says, if I'm a street racing and I lose, can I report the guy who beat me so they don't have to pay up, or so I don't have to pay up? That's too funny. Yeah. Dre can be found by a real racetrack and would never be street racing, and is saying that only for entertainment purposes. I know for a fact. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Let's see here. It's 11:15. Don't forget about the jokes. Did you send me jokes? You said you were sleeping and you didn't make jokes. Hang on, I have to go look. Akela may have actually sent me jokes. Now I'm not sure, but we'll find out in a second. Look at that. Here's Friday's jokes. I may not have the wherewithal to download and upload and do all that, but I will play the audio from it, even though you went to the effort of making the video. I apologize. Unless you want me to leave it for next time, up to you. What was the most life-changing experience you've had? Probably my motorcycle crash on duty, where it totally changed my my policing career and put me on social media. Had I not been injured in a motorcycle crash, I likely would never have become. I probably would have never become a social media guy. Let's see here. I can't. Is it Zhenyak Rostovia? I can't pronounce your name. They said, have you seen the news about a targeted shooting in the restaurant on Avenue Road, live right above the restaurant? Oh, I live right above the restaurant. Heard from discharge. Wow. I did not hear about it. I will definitely have to make some inquiries based on your comment. Kayla says you could get a track day at Shannonville. I could come out for that. Oh, really? I've been to Shannonville. No, I don't think I've been to. Wait, is Shannonville? No, I've been to Canadian Tire. Is that the same thing? It's not the same thing. Okay. Cops do in fact have quotas, especially when it's all you can eat chicken wings. When you're talking about chicken wings, that's a whole different animal. Ba-dum-bum. Okay. Let's see here. Brandon says, I don't understand what's so hard to understand. It's simple. Don't break the law and you won't get bothered. If you choose to break the law, learn accountability. And Droner Wayne says, but Brandon, yeah, now you're talking common sense, which is sorely lacking. Yes, there's nothing common about common sense. Let's see here. Oh, Brandon says, I have to go. It's Universal Day. Some big news coming soon. Have an awesome Easter, brother. Right back at you. Yes, to all those celebrating Easter, hope your day is, and your weekend for that matter, is magical. Okay. Question for you, sir. Is it okay to drive without a hood? Had this question yesterday, H, and the answer is it's not legal. It is a required piece of safety equipment. Granted, there are vehicles that are grandfathered and don't require them, but for a modern vehicle to be safety, you have to have a hood. And if you're driving without it, you are unsafe for the road, which is suboptimal. You could get charged. Oh God! Ever had to deal with people who start by saying, "I'm not driving, I'm traveling, and I know my rights"? I love those people. They're entertaining. I love watching videos. I can't stand dealing with them because they're moronic. But the courts are finally dealing with them across North America. It's like no more entertaining this crap. And it's good. They're dealing with. I know a lot of people, a lot of coppers who just smash the window, pull them out of the car, arrest them, and just they don't want to listen anymore. They've used up all the patience. We talked about this. Peter S says, "Are you retired?" Technically, no. I left policing, and I am absolutely working like an animal. So not retired. Greg Marshall says, "But we don't need 50-round magazines." No, we don't need 50-round magazines. Tig says, "I've learned MMA best self-defense is avoidance." 100%. It's sad that it's not safe in our country like it was many years ago, and that's Santa Claus saying it, so you know it's serious. Is it illegal to remote start your car? No, it's not illegal, but there are idling laws in different jurisdictions. Like in Toronto, it's 1 minute. Let's see here. My writing improved when I started reading other officers' reports. Isn't that amazing? It really is. When I started reviewing other people's collision reports, I was like, How? How is this something somebody submitted? Yeah, you start seeing all the issues when you yourself have no idea what the other person said. Then you give back notes and you get offended. It's anyway. SB Visual says, in your career, was there a justice agent crown and think, oh, it's going to be a long day? For sure, there were people who went slow, but it wasn't a bad thing. I learned a lot from a lot of different, and everyone had their different perspective. I really enjoyed court, so that was something that I fondly I miss, but I miss it fondly. I enjoyed it a lot. And it was so many of my colleagues were like, "Oh, we're gonna have to testify." I'm like, "Yes, trial! I want trial because trials are the best test of your skills and ability." I love talking, apparently, but I loved going out and giving evidence because every time I did it, I got better. And if I screwed up once and then never screwed up again in that particular thing. I always talk about this one thing where I charged a guy for driving this Mercedes with no headlights, and I think he was driving a vehicle that didn't belong to him. It was a whole big thing. And when it got to court, they had hired an agent, and the agent said, I gave this great piece of evidence, Mercedes ML430, blah blah blah, and then after I gave my evidence in chief, I sat down, and the the agent gets up and says, I move to withdraw, not withdrawal, to have this thrown out because the officer failed to identify or what was it, to state that it was a motor vehicle. So I never said it was a motor vehicle. I just said it was a Mercedes ML430. You would assume everyone would know that's a motor vehicle, but I forgot to say it's a motor vehicle under the Highway Traffic Act, and because of that, he threw it out. I said, "You got me. You got me fair and square. It's a game, right? So you got me. You're never going to get me on that again." So every single time, especially when I saw him, I would say, "Motor vehicle." It was a motor vehicle, Your Worship. I would just and of course, then that was our inside joke. We would have a smile because I said, "You got me once, never get me again." Anyway. Eva says, is it possible if you're in a hit and run that the person who runs might eventually get caught? Yeah, that's how hit and runs work. They run and we figure out who it was and then charge them, usually. Now, listen, do they get away with it? Sometimes, but very often they get caught. More so now than ever with all the video cameras and witnesses. But get a dash cam. If you don't have a dash cam, get a dash cam. If you go to askatrafficcop.ca, I got links to Amazon listings. Mind you, I should go check if they're all up to date and still available. But I like Thinkware stuff. There's amazing dash cameras from them. That's what I use. Get a dash cam. All is birthday. Thank you, Greg. My God, that means I'm really far behind. Okay. Thank you. And Fish Guy says it's your birthday unless it's in a business. So I wasn't completely wrong. I was remembering, just I got flaky. What do we got here? Can you skip the field sobriety test and go straight to the breathalyzer? No, you don't get to. I mean, yes, a police officer can just arrest you and take you in. But what you have to understand is that you need suspicion for a field sobriety. You need reasonable probable grounds for the breathalyzer. It's different. One is a higher threshold. If you've got RPG, you just take them for the demand for the breathalyzer. You arrest them, right? Whereas you are just trying to get grounds by using the field sobriety or the the screening device roadside. Now, but you don't have to go there. Like if I showed up to a scene and there was a crash, 1, 2, there's the odor of alcohol. Whether there is slurred speech or any other stuff, that's enough for me to say breathalyzer. But many people went, I don't know, maybe, man, I don't want to ruin the guy's life. And no, like you create so much work by trying to find extra reasons to test and be sure, because they don't want to be wrong. Be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. You've got enough there already. Now that's not impaired necessarily. That's 80 over. Impaired would be other stuff that you see. I mean, you could probably establish anyway. You don't have to do field sobriety. But people, yeah, actually, I got to call a friend. He's a former Crown and a lead with us. We could do a whole episode on a podcast episode all about impaired. But so many times you have enough just to arrest. Oh, Paul Oren says, I came to contribute to jokes, but I keep it to one today. Cool. Please do. Snowmon, happy Easter to you too. Oh, Shannonville is near Kingston, not the other one. Okay. That's far. Okay. Out of province car. Oh, Tyler says, out of province car with tint, will you ticket them? Depends how dark it is. If it's unsafe. And first of all, is it legal in your jurisdiction? Could be the officer saying, well, how long are you here? What's your story? And they could use discretion. But if it's unsafe for the road, it's unsafe for the road. Green Daddy says, if I'm turning right from the left lane in a snowplow and get hit, it's my fault if I'm actively plowing with lights on. If I'm turning right from the left lane in a snowplow and I get hit, well, if you're making the move and there's no yield requirement from the other person, if you make the turn in their path, yeah, you're making an improper turn. So I could see that being determined to be your. Listen, if a police officer does something and it turns into a collision, they're responsible. I can't imagine it being different for you guys. Sebastian says, Sean, I haven't seen you in forever. Hope retirement is treating you well. Stay safe and enjoy. Thanks, Sebastian. Yeah, I'm normally live at 10 a.m. on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. But this week I was traveling and I wasn't able to go live in the regular time. So I've done 2 hours yesterday and looks like I've gone way over. What am I at? An hour and 35 minutes so far today. So yeah, we'll probably take it to 2 hours today too. And let's see here, but I appreciate that. I wonder why you haven't seen me. I hope you follow, and then we'll stay in touch. Tyler says, out of province car with tint. That's where you already read that one. Alan says, is it still DUI if you're the birthday boy? Hell yes. Companies that sold for a seat-enclosed mobility scooter finally posted it's not classified as one. Where is this? It was finally, so I've been seeing these. I hate these things. So another one of the things that bugs the crap out of me are all these folks that are they're selling these enclosed mobility scooters that are not mobility scooters at all. If you can't drive it inside the door at Walmart to go shopping, and I mean the man door, not the double sliding doors, it's not, if you park it in a parking spot and then walk inside, the crap that people are trying to pull and sell as though it's a mobility scooter, it's just baloney. And it's sad because I would hope they could be investigated for fraud because they're misrepresenting it. They're telling people it's legal when it's not. And recently there was a whole string of ads saying, "Oh, we're finally an approved mobility scooter," because you said you were, not because it means anything. The approval for their class 1, class 2. I was doing some digging into this. It's just such a load of crap. It's not a mobility scooter, and it's a very gray area. But it's not a mobility scooter. Can't drive them on the road. Can't drive them. We saw one police jurisdiction, put out a video that said, "Oh, they're not allowed on the road, but they're out on the sidewalk." It's a freaking 4-seater car. No, it's not allowed on the sidewalk. Like, oh my God, it's killing me. Yeah. Okay. Woosah. What is it from Bad Boys? Yeah. Making it my business says, I can't read several signs on time at an intersection without slowing down or stopping my vehicle. Let's see here. That's so much signage. Paul Irwin, the Lego people made the choice to cross the road observing proper crosswalk use and laws. Why? Oh no. Okay. I'll do the dad joke just because it's in front of me. I don't want to lose it. Paul Oren says, the Lego people made the choice to cross the road observing proper crosswalk use and all laws. Why? Simple answer, they are Lego people. They were on the wrong block. Okay. Oh, and Greg Marshall says Santa Claus mobility scooters are not allowed to have any passengers. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, I haven't even seen that particular line of code. Greg, we should talk about this. That's cool. What are the penalties for blowing a warning in 2026? If you have a warn, it's no different that I'm aware of, and things. And anyone who knows different can correct me. But if you get a warn, you're getting a 3-day suspension. If you get a warn again within 10 years, or is it 5 years? You're getting a 7-day suspension, and you're going to have to take some lessons, a course. What is this? So I don't think there's anything different. It's just a suspension. Okay. Why? What? Oh, Christian Cosmos Canuck says, why wasn't Tiger held longer? So Tiger Woods, I have not watched much about his arrest. I saw a video that showed him being arrested and sweating profusely in a vehicle. What was really funny was that the newscaster was saying he's in the back of a police car with his hands behind his back. And I'm like, are you watching the same video as me? Because he clearly has his hands in front of him. But aside from that, we don't usually hold people for impaired operation once they're sober. So if they're safe, if they're capable of maintaining their own safety, we can send them in a cab home. Someone can come pick them up. Like, you don't keep them. There has to be really something going on for them to be held for bail. It's not done very, very often. That they're generally just released once they're safe to be released. But like if they fall down, can't stand up, that's different. You hold them. They're in the drunk tank at that point. But very often they're just released on a promise to appear. So I don't know the details. I'm told, based on that video I watched on TikTok, great source of information, that they were investigated, that they've passed a roadside screening device. I'm assuming it was roadside screening device because then he was arrested, and it's likely that and they found some medication, narcotics possibly, on a pain management medication on him. So it could have been impaired by drug, and then they would have taken to a DRE, or sometimes he would have done a further breathalyzer at the station, a proper breathalyzer to exclude alcohol. And then they, as part of the process, and then they would have done testing for that. And then when it was done, they'd probably release him. I'm just speculating here based on what little I saw. What do we got here? Green Daddy says, it happened with one of our guys. I plow for the city of Kitchener. Right on. Okay. Like I said, I don't see any reason why, you've got to be 100% sure everything you do with a plow and with any vehicle. And Greg Marshall says, snow plow lights don't give you the right of way. Makes sense. Nads, how fast should you go in the left lane without risk of getting a ticket? How fast? The speed limit. That's the legal speed limit. You should be, if you're a lawful driver, you should be driving the speed limit. And Green Daddy says exactly that. All lanes have the same maximum. Now, you should stay out of the left lane unless you're actively passing. And passing doesn't allow you to go above the posted speed limit either. But it's one of them things where people are going way over the speed limit. Always, like the average speed is 20 to 30 over the speed limit. It's gross. Just stay to the right. Don't use the left lane. There's no reason to be in the left lane. Santa Claus, thanks very much. He's going to send me the video. Do traffic cam tickets get sent to people with plates outside of Ontario? Yes, they do. I believe they get sent to people wherever they are. I'm assuming. But we don't have traffic cam tickets. Well, we have red light camera tickets. Yes. Tom Leo, I say, now you're making me wonder. I wonder if it is. I'm pretty sure they'd be charged for it. Just like if we pulled you over and we'd charge people out of state as well, or out of province. Why drivers in Europe can safely handle speed limits 140 plus, no limits, and not here in Canada 110. I appreciate this. First of all, driving standards in Europe are way higher. They are better quality, better skilled drivers in Europe than they are in Canada. Simple fact. It's just not the same. So to say someone who took a course for 10 seconds and has been driving for 2 minutes, who gets it's such a low bar here to get your license. Europe is not easy. Like I remember talking to a chap who moved from Ontario to Ireland, And your Ontario license doesn't just get you a full Irish license. He got like a learner's permit, and he had a period of time, and there was I think it was a power or displacement for the type of vehicle he could drive. There were all sorts of conditions, and he never ended up going for his full license because it was too costly and difficult. So he just didn't drive anymore. And he had to, because he'd been gone from Canada for 10 years, he had to go do his entire license again when he came back. Yeah, terrible. Anyway, that's the biggest thing. Also, their vehicle, their enforcement. When you break the law in Europe, they're going to hammer you. So if you do break the law, yeah, they said 140 or wherever you're talking about. Like even the Autobahn is 80 to 130 in most jurisdictions. Like anything that is near humans, built up areas, it's going to be slower than 140. But in the areas that are built for 140, it's built for 140. So the road camber, like it's designed to handle higher speeds. Not here. They're not. Also, regardless of what one person believes they can do, look at the average. The common denominator is someone who is not a good driver. Okay. Oh, thanks for the gifts. A bunch of gifts given, and I appreciate you. All goes to the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education, and not for profit in Canada. Two Gun says probably cause for doing a U-turn in front of a ride program. Not sure where you're going at. Okay. The drunk tank. If a construction guy with Go paddle tells you to go on a red light. So Juan Jimenez says if a construction guy, so a flagger or a person with a stop sign, where it has slow and stop, a flagman at a construction site says to go on a red light. So they're directing you to drive through a red light. Can they legally do that? No, they have no authority to make you go through a signalized intersection. If the signalized intersection is disabled, then they can tell you to stop and go slow, but they cannot override an intersection. They do not have the lawful authority for that purpose. So they can have you stop and they can start you again, but they cannot override a signalized intersection. They get really upset when you don't go, but they have no authority. Ricky wants to know if there's a no chase law in Ontario. No. There's conditions where chase is appropriate and conditions where it's not, but it's not a standard line. Says here, Zach says, is there a no chase rule for cops follow on bikers? No. All depends. Green Daddy says it well. It depends because I don't get the. Oh, no, he's not. I thought he was responding to Zach, but he's not. Green Daddy says it depends because I don't get the toll tickets from USA sent to me in Ontario, maybe somewhere. I get toll tickets sent to me in Ontario. How come you don't? I got a ticket. It depends on what state, because I got one from New York. I got one from Florida. So I totally got them. Tint Factory says major intersection, 3 lanes each direction. South lane turns. What is this? Is a triangle median with yield. Okay. North lane, regular left turn, green light, break in traffic. Who is it? Well, you're talking about a turn off with a median divider. That person yields when they're re-entering on the other side. The person who's making the left turn is going into a different lane. So if I'm understanding what you're saying, the one person has a lane dedicated to themselves that is independent essentially of that intersection, but they have to merge and yield to the traffic that's already on that roadway. If the other person made the left turn and is on that roadway, the person who is yielding has to yield to them. Depends on who got there first at that point. If I think I got you. Let's see here. What OREG 25608. Hang on a second. I want to take a picture of that. I'm going to take a picture because I'm not making notes right now. There we go. Unless built for multiple passengers. But they have multiple. Okay. Interesting. I saw in Alberta they want to bring the limit on a few big highways to 120. Interesting. Okay. Scrolling. If you do a U-turn in front of a ride program, there's probable cause to be. We used to have chase cars specifically ready to deal with anyone who does a U-turn to avoid being checked. Oh, Green Daddy, all the best. Okay. The blue collar says, what's the radius around a truck mechanic shop where a G-class driver can drive an air brake truck? I don't think it works that way. I think I think you have to have a what do you call it? A air brake designation. Period. I don't believe that there is. Mechanics have certain exemptions, but I thought they had to have their ticket. So I don't have an answer for you. I'm not sure. Santa Claus says, send a link about the. Oh, cool. Thank you for the link. The most hated. I'm not sure what he's talking about, but I don't need to hear about them. Paul, was it Paul David? Says, now you're a travel consultant. Do you find you're traveling more going on a big cruise next week? Oh, very cool. I've been traveling consistently, I think. I had a big trip last year or over the new year, and I've had to do a little bit of traveling, but more for business, so less fun. Yeah, definitely. Because I'm looking and talking to people about travel a lot. So for those who are going, what is he talking about? I'm a travel consultant with Expedia Cruise Ship Centers as a part-time thing. I've been doing it for years, but never really talking about it. And so I help my friends and family travel more and cruise specifically because I like cruises. So I try and cruise as much as possible. But I sadly I don't have as much time as I'd like to do that sort of stuff. But I'm certainly always looking for an opportunity to hop on a cruise ship. Okay. Paul Warren says, thanks for your passion. I get it. Declaring patient code 5 or loading onto 799 enough. Follow the laws. Yes. Good question. If funeral procession is coming towards you with no median between two lanes, do you still pull over to the right like it's an emergency vehicle? So the funeral processions don't have any benefit. There's courtesy, but there's no benefit. You don't have to pull over for them. They're just vehicles driving. Unless they have a police escort, there is no benefit. They don't do anything different. They have to stop for red lights. Like, they get nothing. And the deal is that I like to give them courtesy. Doesn't work. They can really screw with traffic. In a small town, it's one thing. In jurisdictions like Toronto, they should be hiring police to close roads for them. We don't generally do escorts the way we used to, where we do leapfrogging. It's not safe. So it's rarely done. It's less safe. I shouldn't say it's not safe. When done properly, it is safe, but people don't like it. So generally speaking, just stay out of their way if you can. But it's not a regulation where you have to stop for them. And you certainly don't on oncoming traffic. It's a funeral procession. You don't have to stop for them. Okay, Mary Lynn, who just popped in on X, welcome. Says a person got her car taken away for speeding, Highway 401, and lost her license for 30 days. Other consequences. Where's my mouse? Yes, because if they got their license for 30 days for speeding, it wasn't just speeding, it was stunt driving. So they lost their license for 30 days. They got their vehicle impounded for 14 days. They're responsible for towing and impound fees. They have to pay a reinstatement fee when they get their license back. They will subsequently go to court because they're going to get a summons to court where they will be going through a lengthy court process. But if they were to just plead guilty and accept sentencing, they were going to get a $2,000 to $10,000 fine. They're going to get up to 6 months in jail, and that's and a 1 to 3 year driving prohibition. That's just based on being found guilty, or they could plead to a lesser offense and avoid a lot of that because apparently they're letting people do that on occasion. But yeah, no, not a good thing. If you are subsequently charged and convicted again, that 1 to 3 year prohibition goes to a 3 to 10 year, with the same $2,000 to $10,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail. So it sucks to be them, but they are totally choosing to do it, and they deserve whatever comes their way. What do we got here? Oh, Greg's going to Greece, cruising on the Explorer 2. That sounds like an amazing trip. Have a safe journey when you go. Santa's doing a Toronto Harbor boat cruise. Oh, really? When's that happening? Matthew says, if you're at a red light, an emergency vehicle needs to pass, but there's no room, can you advance? If you're at a red light and you can make a right turn on that red legally and safely, then sure, do that to get out of the way. However, there's no authority for you to get out of that way or enter that intersection any other way. You are required to pull over to the closest curb or edge of roadway, but an emergency vehicle should be planning ahead. They should know that they need to go into oncoming traffic to avoid that light, and they should be activating their equipment in advance. That everyone should move out of the, like, no one should have to move. You should be holding your position, not moving. They should go into oncoming traffic and then cross the intersection when everyone's come to a stop. Paul Irwin says funeral escorts reminds me of that now in jail Jeremy guy. Oh God, yes, that Jeremy guy. Is he in jail now? Thank God. There's a guy in Florida who basically bought a bunch of former police vehicles or stickered up some other vehicles, bought a bunch of motorcycles. He would carry a Burma, I think it was a Burma, pepper gun, and he had, his uniforms were all made to look like police, and he was just being a fool. Like, this is a person that needed to have he needed to have some slaps. Because, and the way he spoke to people, like, I think he was not all there. Oh, actually, I guarantee you, he was not all there. If you go look up Jeremy and funeral Florida and see if you can find, he's on a BMW motorcycle and he's just a freaking ass. No cop would treat someone like that. Nobody. Ugh. Tony Monaco. No way. The radio guy, Tony Monaco? I have not heard that name in 100 years. Anyway, that's awesome. Boom, boom, boom. Does he read the YouTube comments? No. Yes, I do. Of course I do. I see that you have a question, I'm assuming. What's the question? Oh, wait. Apparently I missed him. Is it illegal to eat a bowl of cereal while driving? So I'm glad you messaged, because I totally missed these comments. Not specifically illegal, like bowl of cereals in law is a no-no. It's illegal because you're taking your hands off the wheel. Jeremy DeWitt. Yes. That Ethan, thank you. That's the name of the guy. Jeremy DeWitt, Florida. Yeah, that's the one. Everyone's looking up this dumb on a motor. Okay. We should do a video. Yeah, okay. I'm totally gonna do this. I'm gonna get some of his footage. We're gonna do some commentary on this. So bowl of cereal, it could be careless driving. So they went on to say, I got a speeding ticket 4 years ago and nothing ever happened with it. I was able to renew my license plate last month. I've never seen it on my insurance. What happened to it? They flushed a bunch of stuff down the toilet. They should have notified you, but if it was done during COVID, there was just such an overflow that I think they just made things go away. If you were able to renew and nothing was a problem, then you're probably okay. You could always go to the courts and say, hey, whatever happened to this thing? And they would likely say they were withdrawn. Richie Rich says, got a ticket the other day. Driver log app was down. Did a paper pre-trip. I was in my 160 kilometer from home base. Okay. You got a ticket the other day because your log app was down, but you did a paper pre-trip. So why'd you get a ticket? I don't understand. Tony Monaco from Z103. But wasn't he on, like, I think I used to listen to Tony Monaco when he was on AM 640, 680. What channel was that? It was 680 before it was the news. I think I used to listen to him there. Walter Chain Gang says, how do you feel about police coming to people's homes about their posts online? That's dumb. I mean, threats is different than posts online. Like, if you're making threats about the PM, that's dumb. Like, what that person said in the video was not okay. I'm not excusing that behavior, but I also don't. Yeah, no, I was thinking from the perspective of in the UK, because in the UK it was ridiculous. Like, the UK was threatening to, or not the UK, but the police in the UK were threatening to seek extradition for people who offended people on, like, it's gotten out of hand. I'm not a big fan of the new laws that have come in regarding social media. And yeah. What else we got here? Chizzy said, I had an officer flash lights on and off at me. What's that mean? I was going a bit fast. Maybe. They were just trying to say, hi, you're being stupid. Don't do that. I don't know what you're doing, and I don't know what they were meaning. They could have been completely not paying attention to you and just hit the button with their leg. I couldn't tell you. I mean, have I ever done it? Absolutely. trying to get their attention to say, hey, wake up, you're about to get something bad happen to you if you don't change your behavior. Could have been. And Greg Marshall says you probably got a break, and I tend to agree. Richie Rich says, because I could prove my last 14 days due to app being down was a safety blitz OPP gave it to what? So you got a ticket the other day, but then you further said I could prove my last 14 days due to the app being down was a safety blitz OPP gave. So, oh, wait, couldn't give it to you? Oh, because you didn't prove your last 14 days. Okay. The extra couple of characters mattered. So because you couldn't prove your last, I think you're probably going to be okay in court, though. Objectively speaking, says Shapiro is a name with toxic connections? No. What are you talking about? One of the most popular. And what's wrong with Ben? That's not toxic. That's just a guy on the internet who's a lawyer who talks about politics. You don't like him? The name doesn't mean anything. The name just happens to be one of the very popular names in the world. It's like Smith. There's a lot of people with that name. Anyway, I love when people go politics. This is not a political channel. GW says, if an e-bike / bicycle rear ends me, am I at fault just because I'm in a car? Here's the crappy thing. Your insurance is going to be paying for it because you're in a car, because they're in an uninsured position. Now, what you need to know is that if they have home insurance, you might be able to, or your insurance company knows this, but the insurance company might subrogate and go after their insurance. But yeah, generally speaking, their needs will be covered by your insurance until such time as their insurance can be sued. If there is insurance, like if they're a driver, they might go after their policy. If they're a homeowner, they might go after their policy. But it sucks. I think that everyone should have insurance. I think cyclists and the people abusing things that aren't bicycles but claim to be them, because there are people who are riding motorcycles masked, impersonating e-bikes. I have an article about that on my LinkedIn. Yeah, it's gross. We need to make changes in law. What is the law about driving a classic retired law enforcement vehicle to and from a show? It should be out of service with covers on the light bar. You should probably put magnetic things that say not in service on the doors, but you're allowed to legally own one. But you may not want to drive one because so many people dislike the police and could misconstrue that as an active duty police car, unless it's really, really, really a classic. I used to drive we have a fleet of Toronto Police classic vehicles. I used to drive them to auto shows all the time. It's great fun. But that was actually a vehicle that was a police car and still in the police fleet. So, but there's nothing that says you can't have them. Now, certain provinces are enacting laws that may change that ability to own one after some not so nice stuff happened a number of years ago. Anyway, I did go longer than I thought. It's 2 hours, 1 minute and 33 seconds into the show. And I've been babbling long enough. I should probably let you go do something like get lunch or whatever it is. It's 12 o'clock. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, lots of stuff happening here, but I will jump in and just cover off because I see some comments that I totally ignored. 4 kids in a Porsche said, can you arrest without a breathalyzer? If you do, can driver demand you do one? A breathalyzer is a scientific instrument at the police station or used by a qualified breath technician used in order to lay charges, to actually proceed with charges being laid. The device that is carried in a police car, and it isn't in every police car, called a roadside screening device, is not a breathalyzer. It is a device that when a police officer has a suspicion that you may have blood alcohol more than 0, or over the limit. Let me go back and rephrase, because there's 2 different conditions. One is if someone is not allowed to have any versus someone who's over the legal limit. So if there is a belief that there is alcohol in your blood, they can make a demand for a roadside screening device, which is blow into the box, and you'll either get a warrant, a warrant, or under 0.049 for 0.049 and below. That's going to be a no issue. Then it's going to be 0.05 to 0.079. That's going to be a warrant range, and you're going to get a what do you call it? It's going to be one of those things where you get you can't drive. You're going to get a suspension. Then 0.08 and above, you're going to get criminally charged, and you're going to get a demand for a breathalyzer or for a breath test. So Yeah, you don't have to have that device in order to arrest someone and make a demand for a breathalyzer, right? You can just take them to the station based on your RPG that there's an issue here. What else can I tell you about that? If they don't have a breathalyzer, or what you're referring to as a breathalyzer, which is a roadside screening device, then they can do a roadside screening or what do you call it? Help me with this. What is it called? Well, I talked about it 6 times in the show already. Can't think of the word. So you can charge. You don't even have to have a breathalyzer. Like for the actual the charge is 80 and over. For that charge, you need to have the instrument. But what about impaired by drugs? Well, you could have a drug recognition evaluator. That's a separate thing. If it's by drugs, it's not the breathalyzer. Anyway, the long and the short of it is you can arrest someone for impaired operation based on their behavior. You can, but the charge of 80 and over requires the instrument to lay the charge. We've gone a really roundabout way. Okay. What is this? Hang on a second. What else did he say? Then 4 Kids in a Porsche says, if a driver is in the left turn lane, but when the light turns green, doesn't turn left and jumps ahead of the cars forward, is that a stunt driving? Not stunt driving. Well, if he does it before turning vehicles, like if it was an advanced way, if driver turns lane, but learn turns green. So it doesn't meet their qualifications for stunt driving based on my reading of them, because you have to pass in front of the oncoming traffic to get stunned. Is it an unsafe move? Is it it could be an unsafe move. I don't know. I don't think I could squeeze that into stunt driving. It's just a real douchebag thing to do. Should there be a national certification for service animals? Too many people with their service animals say their animal is a service dog, and clearly they are not, and there isn't much. I'd like to see that. I was just in a restaurant in Miami over the weekend, and because I had to go there for a family function, and there was a service dog there, and yapping. And I don't think this poodle was a service dog. But then again, I don't know. Like, if there's a certification as a standard, then it should be upheld, and it should be a true standard. Like, I used to live in a building when I lived in Florida years ago, and there was a guy there who had a dog that he carried with him, and he says that dog notified him if his insulin was too low. I'm like, okay, I have no idea how that works. Yeah. 4 Kids in a Porsche says, not a big fan of warning and DOI. Can really change it legally. Like, you can, what is this? You can't really challenge it legally like you can with above 8. This is from a non-drinker, just backdoor lowering standard, just lower it or don't. 90% of people are speeding. Is the speed limit just? Oh, you got a lot of questions. So if 90% of the people are speeding, is the speed limit just? Yes. The speed limit is a speed limit is a speed limit. If you want to use your privilege of driving, then it is what you do. You drive lawfully. If you speed, you should lose your license eventually, if you can. But you don't raise the speed limit because people are speeding. That's silly. That's like saying, I'd like to be able to punch people in the face. Sometimes I really would like to. And I think it's wrong that I can't. And if enough people believe that, then should we change the law so we can just punch people in the face? It's the same thing. Or isn't it? Oh no, Decepticons forever has pneumonia still. I thought you were getting better. CFTR 680. Yes, thank you. It's also 4 Kids in a Porsche who said that. I used to listen to CFTR 680, and my buddy was one of the hosts on the air, and who sadly Punch Andrews. He was my buddy, and sadly he died of cancer. He was actually he was host of Cops for Cancer. I got him to be the host of our Cops for Cancer event. And if anyone listens to Maury Sherman or knows Maury Sherman, Punch Andrews was his mentor. And that's the whole Tony Monaco thing. That's how anyway. Just here, scrolling through. So, Wakash 11 says, I was charged with DOA in Toronto. They took me to a station, did 2 more tests, and the results were 92 and 95. Okay. I was charged with DUI, and then the next day came to my house and told me that the charges were dropped and gave me careless driving ticket, but said the license will be suspended for 90 days. So, yeah, I guess they decided that that the numbers that you put out weren't worthy of getting a, like, they didn't have a reasonable, like, upon review by possibly a detective, maybe determined, or maybe a crown, and they said that they didn't think they were going to get a conviction at 92, 95. You're still over. You still deserved it. But they determined that it was better to. There's been a move to reduce things. So lucky for you, you got a careless instead of that. Did you deserve a careless instead of that? I mean, you were impaired. Hard to say. What do we got here? Exclamation mark says, if I don't have insurance on a motorcycle, what is the worst case scenario? You crash and you don't get covered? No, you get pulled over, you get charged. It's $5,000 to $25,000 on your first offense and up to 6 months in jail. Worst scenario is you get $25,000 and 6 months in jail. Let's see here. Caller says, thanks again. Happy Easter. I'm off to do some internet crime work. Amazing. I'm helping a friend with initiatives for service animal legislation for Ontario. Oh, very cool. I'd love to know more about that. Jacob Adema says, what's the best police show in your opinion? Oh, I loved Blue Bloods. It was a lot of fun. I'm enjoying, but totally not an accurate portrayal of police procedure or events. I enjoy the Rookie. I'm enjoying Boston Blue, which I mistakenly called Chicago Blue last time I talked about it. And what else is really good? I don't know. The ones I'm watching right now, I'm because Boston, we call it Boston Blue is what's on, or coming back, I should say. And it's filmed in Toronto, so I like that. I hope it's still filmed in Toronto. But I really enjoyed Blue Bloods. Just Tom Selleck, he's the man. Johnny says, how's it going today? It's going well. Oh, Greg Marshall likes live PD, ones with Sean Sticks Larkin. I don't watch a lot of the live replay kind of, I do like watching the clips, but I haven't watched that on TV. I don't even have cable. If it's not something that's on a streaming network, I don't see it. All right. I keep saying I'm going to say goodbye and then I don't. Epic Life Enthusiast. Long time no see. Glad to see you back. Okay, what's the question here? For my tenants in my house, I have to make it mandatory that tenants must have insurance. Or you make it mandatory. That's a good policy. Before they sign the lease and before the tenant moves in. I think that's a good way to go. It really just covers, like, they need to have you need to have insurance for the property. The tenant's insurance just covers the contents. But it's a good policy. If you're driving in a neighborhood at night and a pedestrian walking using a flashlight to blind the driver, what can happen to the pedestrian? Are they walking at night and they're walking and using they're using the flashlight to see, and it blinds the driver is different than if they're specifically trying to blind drivers. If they're actively doing that, that could be criminal mischief. If they're just walking and it happens to negatively impact the driver, that's different. That's sadly different. Okay, question. In my neighborhood, Toronto had a speed sign of 30 kilometers an hour posted last year. Now for 20 blocks, there's no speed sign posted. Would I or anyone get a ticket? So someone ripped down the sign. It's being damaged. I would call and have the sign replaced. Could you, it would be potentially an issue if there was supposed to be a sign erected and it was removed, that they'd have a defense for the ticket. Like, yes, we know it's a speed zone. Police officer goes, sets up, but they're supposed to go and check to make sure the signs are present before doing enforcement. So what can be done to have these signs posted? Call 311. Tell them it's gone missing. Toronto or the GTA area should have its own Rookie Blue for each service. That would be awesome. Does the 30-kilometer sign say area on it? Oh, the city removed the signs. Why would they remove the signs? I don't know. You need to find out what's going on. Kayla knows about stuff and things. Why would they have removed the signs? I'm going to play your jokes, Akela. Here's the audio for Akela's joke file. Hold on. Apparently, I need to increase the
Greetings and salutations. This is Akela Draconis with today's jokes. It's a bit of a surprise today, so gonna be quick. First joke. Why is Frosty never late? Time waits for Snowman. Okay. Second joke. The first 4 books of the Harry Potter series are quite lighthearted, but the 5th one, dead serious. Spoiler alert for you there. And our last joke for today. A hamburger walks into a bar, climbs up on a stool, and orders a beer. The bartender takes one look at the hamburger and says, "I'm sorry, we don't serve food here."
Too funny. Thank you very much for those. He sends me jokes for almost every show, and I really appreciate it. He's been providing the jokes in the text for years, and finally got him to do videos, and we play them on screen when I get them in advance, and then yeah, it's awesome. What is this? Johnny says, I don't know if you're realized, but your tapings are very delayed on podcast. Yes, Johnny, thank you very much. So Johnny, they are delayed, and I published like 5 or 6 of them in a row. I have a new workflow. Things have just been busy, and I can't dedicate as much time as I used to Ask a Traffic Cop. So what I'm doing now is I wait until YouTube filters and processes the episode, and then I download it from YouTube and upload it to Spotify. And I do that because YouTube compresses them nicely, whereas I was spending tons and tons of time doing this on my own, and then the files were huge, and I had to then put them through another process to shrink them, and it just became difficult. I found this to be easy, but it is my fault that I'm not publishing them as much. So I appreciate you bringing it to my attention. I really do. I'm working on getting faster at it. So I published like 5 or 7 episodes to try and catch up, and I think they went up until Tuesday, and I just haven't sat down to do more. So you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to make sure that the next set of them are published once a day until we're up to the most current one. So I appreciate you bringing it up. And I want to now say goodbye because it's 2 hours and 15 minutes of me sitting in this chair. I need to get up and stretch. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful Easter. Passover to all those celebrating Passover. Chag Sameach. And we'll see you on Tuesday at 10 a.m. That's the plan for the next episode. And that's what we're doing. So drive safe, drive sober. If you've got questions between now and then, please feel free to drop me a DM. Please feel free to reach out. You can get me at askatrafficcop.ca. You can send me an email at askatrafficcop.gmail or at Gmail. And I'm around. So feel free. We'll talk to you soon. Be well. Again, drive safe, drive sober, and park legally, because Aaron Urquhart is still out there, and she's doing her thing. So, you never know when you're going to get a parking ticket. Danger. Thanks to all those who followed, subscribed, and shared. Really appreciate you. If you don't already follow the podcast, it's just this episode or all these episodes recorded and then rebroadcast, so you can synchronize them to your car and listen when you're on the go. Let's say you missed half the show, but you want to catch up, you can do that. If you know people who need to know stuff and things, please share it with them, promote it to us, or promote us to them so they know how to find us. If you want to learn about different jurisdictions, check out askatrafficcop.ca. I actually have links to every single traffic act in North America. If you want to learn about a state you're traveling to, you can go get that information there. Okay, I've stopped talking. I'm done. Have a great weekend, everybody. Long weekend, no school on Monday, no school today. It's a good day. People are going to have fun. All right, take it easy.